Good afternoon everyone. Welcome to today's daily news and analysis. In today's session, we are going to cover these 7 articles. Okay. So, our first article would be CM Stalin flags interference in Sahitya Academy by the Center institutes new literary awards. Okay. So, the news is Chief Minister M.K. Stalin announced the institution of annual national level literary award to be called as Semula Ilakya Virudu, Classical Language Literary Award. Each award will carry a cash prize of rupees 5 lakhs against the cash prize of rupees 1 lakh given by the Sahitya Academy. In the phase 1 of the awards, the award will be given to these 7 languages: Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Odia, Bengali and Marathi. And why was this move taken? According to the CM, it was a constructive counteraction to Union Culture Ministry's interference into Sahitya Academy Awards. What he is alleging is that the Sahitya Academy Awards for 2025 were not announced despite the jury already submitting their recommendations. So, he is alleging that the center is interfering into the awards, into the conferment of the awards, and that is why in a counteraction he has instituted these national awards. Okay. In the ceremony, a very important dignitary was also present, and she was Banu Mushtaq. Who is Banu Mushtaq? The winner of International Booker Prize for her book Heart Lamp. These are short stories in Kannada language. Okay. Now, from prelims point of view, the most important thing we have to learn in this article is the literary awards by Sahitya Academy, because these are the awards which are being challenged. Okay. So, Sahitya Academy Awards. The Sahitya Academy confers 4 types of awards. Okay. These are the main award, which is the most outstanding book published in the last 5 years, and the prize is rupees 1 lakh. Translation prize, outstanding translation of a work into one of the 24 languages. We'll discuss these 24 languages later. 50,000. Yuva Puruskar, best author under the age of 35 in these 24 languages. And Bal Sahitya Award is the outstanding contribution of children in children literature. Okay. Now, what are the languages which are covered? 24 languages. The 22 8th schedule languages with English and Rajasthani. So, these are 22 plus English plus Rajasthani. Okay. Now, what is the procedure? There shall be at least one award every year for the most outstanding book by an Indian author in any of the 24 recognized languages, which is 22 scheduled language, English and Rajasthani. And this award might be skipped if the criteria is not fulfilled. Okay. Book must be first published during the 5 years immediately preceding the year before the year award. So, in 2025 we are giving award for 2024. So, the book must be published 5 years before the immediately preceding year, that is 2019 to 2023. So, for 2025 awards, books published between 2029 and 2023 will be considered. Okay. And this is the criteria that at least 3 books should be in the final stage of selection for an award to be considered. Okay, award will be given only if there are 3 final books, at least 3 final books in the selection process. This is the selection process. This you can note down, but it is not very important from prelims point of view. Just you have to remember that a 3-member jury takes the call, and which is approved by the executive board. Okay. Now, this is very important. What are the criteria for a book to be considered? The book must be an outstanding contribution to the language and literature to which it belongs. Okay. The book may be a creative work, but it cannot be a translation until a translation award is being given. Anthology of multiple authors, a research work or treatise prepared by a university for a degree exam or a university thesis, a reader collection of previously published material. These things are not considered. The book, this is a criteria by UNESCO. For a book to be considered for any literary award, it should have minimum of 49 pages, which excludes the cover page. Now, this book must be published in in only 1 language. Any book which is published in 2 or more languages is not eligible for Sahitya Akademi Awards. The book published from January 1st, 2025 must have a ISBN number. Okay. Now, the books which are published by the Academy itself, if Sahitya Akademi is the publisher of book, Sahitya Akademi itself is the publisher, then that book is not considered for this award, and a book written by multiple author is also not eligible for this particular award. Now, these were the criteria which the book should fulfill. Now we'll discuss the criteria of the author. The author should be Indian national. NRIs and PIOs are not considered for the award. Okay. Now, if the author himself or herself is a member of Academy Executive Board or a Sahitya Akademi fellow or employee or working staff or current working staff or a former president, the books published by these people are not considered. Okay. If the author of the book is already a recipient of Bhasha Samman Award, his book will also not be considered for Sahitya Akademi Award. Okay. And one author can receive only 1 Sahitya Akademi in his whole lifetime in a particular category and language. For example, if an author got Sahitya Akademi Award for Urdu language as a main award, not the translation or Yuva or anything, he cannot be given Urdu Sahitya Akademi Award again in his lifetime. Now, is this award given posthumously? Yes, this award is given posthumously, but there is a criteria. If the author has died within the 5-year period we discussed for 2025, the 5-year period was 2019 to 2023. Okay. So, if the author of the book has died during this period, his work will be considered for the award. If he had died before 2019, his published book will not be considered. So, this is a peculiar posthumous conferment criteria. Okay. These are the important points you have to note down. Okay. Now, this year the main award was not given, but the Bal Puruskar we discussed, there are 4 categories. One of the category was Bal Sahitya Puruskar. That Bal Sahitya Puruskar for 2025 was announced, and as we discussed that there should be at least 3 books in the final selection, but in Dogri languages that was not the case. So, the award was announced only for 23 languages out of 24, and for the Dogri language the award was not given this year. This is a very important point you have to note. 2025 Bal Puruskar, Dogri language did not get any award, only 23 languages got the award. Now we discussed that one of the great dignitaries attended the function by CM Stalin. So she was Banu Mushtaq. Banu Mushtaq and Deepa Bhasti. Now these two authors, Banu Mushtaq is the author and Deepa Bhasti is the translator of the same book, The Heart Lamp. It is collection of Mushtaq's Kannada short stories. Okay, and these two people got 2025 International Booker Prize. Okay, Banu Mushtaq and Deepa Bhasti. Banu Mushtaq is the writer, Deepa Bhasti is the translator. Okay, and Deepa Bhasti is the first translator to win a Booker Prize, and Banu Mushtaq is the first Kannada writer to win this award. So these are the pointers you have to keep in mind for this news. The next news is election, lottery election, how Mumbai will get its new mayor. Recently the BMC election got over, and now is the time to select the mayor. As we know, mayor is selected by the corporators or by the corporation members, and the corporators are directly elected. So mayor is indirectly elected and corporators are directly elected by the people. Okay. So in Mumbai and in most of the local bodies across the country, the mayor post must be reserved by rotation for scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, OBC and women. We have seen in many states this is the criteria that this post is reserved for members of this particular community. Okay. Now in Mumbai there is a peculiar case. The category from which the mayor should come is not pre-decided. It is decided through a draw of lots, which is conducted by Urban Development Department of Delhi, Urban Department of Mumbai. Only after this lottery, the category is officially announced and can process from electing the mayor. So there will be a draw with all category chits in there. There will be a public draw and the category will be decided. Why this draw happens? That is why the article says election, the BMC election, lottery, the lottery to decide the category, and again the election. So very peculiar form of democracy exists in BMC. Okay. Now this draw of lots is meant to keep the process neutral because everyone has a equal probability of getting elected. Okay. Rotation is a random draw and it ensures that different social groups get a chance to occupy the mayor chair rather than one category getting all the benefits. Once the category is finalized, the mayor is elected by the 227 directly elected corporators through a simple majority vote. So if suppose OBC candidate is decided now, the 227 corporators will decide an OBC mayor. The parties will play their number in this 227. They have to get 114 votes. Okay. Now, what is the term of mayor? In BMC, the term of the mayor is 2.5 years. It is not constant across the country. In many states, the term is 1 year, like Karnataka, Bengaluru. In many states, the term is 5 years. In some states, mayor is just a nominated post, though it is elected, but usually the nominated member, he is elected unopposed. Okay. So the term of the mayor in BMC is 2.5 years. The role involves is presiding over the meetings, maintaining order during the debates, and using a casting vote if there is a tie. This is similar to role of speaker or a vice president, who is the chair of Rajya, ex officio chair of Rajya Sabha. Okay. Now mayor is more of a ceremonial post. He is the first citizen of the city. He represents Mumbai in official functions, and he is city's first citizen and a bridge between elected representative and administration. Okay. The real power lies with municipal commissioner, who is a IAS officer, usually appointed by the state government. Okay. Now, where did this power or this whole procedure come from? It roots from the 74th Constitutional Amendment Act, which laid the foundation of urban governance in India. And Article 243Q mandates the creation of 3 types of municipalities based on population size, like municipal corporations in large areas, Nagar Panchayat in smaller areas, and municipal councils in urban smaller areas. The mayor post, called the mayor, but is provided in the act itself. They call it chairperson, but in cities it is called a mayor, like in UK. Okay. But how he will be elected, the manner of election is left to the discretion of the individual state legislature. The manner, the term is up to the state legislature to decide. Okay. Now, the amendment, as we discussed, mandatorily reservation for SCs, which should be in SCs and STs, which should be reserved in proportion of their population. Women reservation, 1/3 of women reservation, but it can be increased by how women reservation can be increased, and many states have done this. States like Maharashtra have done this, Rajasthan has done this, 50% they have increased it to. So, for women reservation to be increased, there is no need for a constitutional amendment. This you have to remember. This is where UPSC might play in this particular thing, that women, to increase women reservation, there is no need for a constitutional amendment. The state government or the state legislature through act can do this. Okay. There is a minimum, there is no maximum, and additional category of reservation can also be provided, like OBC category, which Maharashtra itself has provided, and that is also through the act. So, these are the important points you have to remember in this article. Okay. With this, we will move on to the third article. The third article is UAE's president visit to Prime Minister Modi for a bilateral talk. Okay. This will be his third visit. So, he is a very regular visitor, a very important partner. UAE is a very important partner to India. Okay. So, this is the news. UAE's president is scheduled to visit Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi for a bilateral talk. The day-long visit is to strengthen the bilateral ties, explore strategic partnership opportunities, and discuss regional and global issues. We will discuss in article also. This issue of Gaza will also be discussed. And one of the very fine movement he has come is UAE and Saudi Arabia. The backdrop is the standoff between UAE and Saudi Arabia over the conflict in Yemen. These two countries, who are seen as perpetual partners, these countries are perpetual Arabic partners, but they are having a conflict in Yemen, and they, in the backdrop of this conflict and backdrop of the standoff between the two countries, UAE president has visited India. So, because India is a mutual partner for Saudi as well as UAE. Okay. Very important point. This shows how important India is, or how important position India has in the world affairs or the global affairs. We are a partner of Saudi, we are a partner of UAE, and because of this, because of the standoff between the two countries, there might be a possibility that this particular topic will also be discussed along with the peace board in Gaza, which we will discuss in the next article. Okay. Now, partnership between UAE and India. The important points you have to keep in mind in this is UAE is the third largest trading partner of India, with UAE trade exceeded more than $100 billion. So, it is the third largest partner and the second largest export destination. Okay. What are the key imports and exports? India exports jewelry, refined petroleum and electronics, and imports crude oil, diamonds and gold. Okay, these are the frameworks of our partnership: SEPA, local currency settlement, and bilateral investment treaty. Now, I just told you that there is a standoff between UAE and Saudi Arabia over something. This issue per se might not be asked, but the area of conflict is very important for place in news. So, to discuss that area, we'll talk a little bit about the issue itself. What is the issue? The UAE backs Southern Transitional Council. So, this is Yemen. Let's suppose this is Saudi and this is Yemen. Yemen and Saudi. This is somewhere UAE. Okay. Now, UAE supports Southern Transitional Council, which is here. Okay. And it is a separatist group which wants an independent South Yemen. So, this is Yemen, this is Southern Yemen, and UAE supports Southern Yemen separatist group. And what Saudi does is it supports Presidential Leadership Council, PLC, which is a recognized, universally recognized government which wants to keep the whole Yemen, this is Saudi, no? So, this whole Yemen area, this PLC wants to keep it intact. So, southern part wants to separate and PLC wants to keep the whole Yemen intact. So, PLC is supported by Saudi, southern part is supported by UAE. Now, what happened is UAE backed STC launched a surprise offensive promising future on the resource rich Hadramaut and Al Mahra provinces. Where are these provinces? So, this is Yemen, no? This is Saudi. This is the Hadramaut province. Okay, and these are resource rich province. Why? 80% of Yemenis oil is lying in this area. Okay, and since UAE is supporting STC, STC launched a surprise attack on this area against PLC and occupied the area. Okay, and why the reason? The conflict is heavily tied to Yemen's economy, oil wealth. The Hadramaut province contains approximately 80% of Yemen's oil reserve. This is Hadramaut. This is UAE, okay, supporting this, and this is Saudi supporting PLC. This is supporting STC. Okay. Now, STC has taken over the field and UAE is seeing to support STC because UAE wants to exploit these oil mines. And what Riyadh says is, Riyadh is Saudi's capital. So, Riyadh views this seizure of oil fields as a direct threat to its national security and regional stability. Why? Because UAE does not share a boundary with Yemen, but Saudi does, and a large, long boundary. Okay. So, Saudi sees this as a direct confrontation. Okay. So, in December 30th, Saudi-led coalition forces conducted airstrikes on port of Mukalla. Saudi claimed that they were targeting an unauthorized shipment by UAE weapons destined for STC. So, UAE was sending, they alleged that UAE was sending some weapons to STC to continue their movement, and they attacked the port of Mukalla. Okay. Now, further, Saudi intensified airstrikes in early 2026 and reportedly killed STC members, and this was seen as a direct confrontation between two very close countries, Saudi Arabia and UAE. A 24-hour deadline was given to the STC, and Saudi-backed Yemeni government, the PLC, ordered remaining UAE forces to leave the country within 24 hours, and UAE on January 3rd agreed to it and removed all its forces from the southern Yemen area. So, this was the standoff I was discussing, that there is a standoff right now, but there was a conflict between Saudi and UAE. Okay. So, this was the news. You have to remember this Hadramaut area, because this can be asked as places in news. Yemen sharing boundary with Saudi Arabia, and Yemen facing crisis, internal crisis because of wars and a food security and hunger crisis. Okay. The next news is Trump invites PM Modi to be a part of board of peace to oversee Gaza. Okay. So Donald Trump, in his bid to be the global peace leader, has constituted a Gaza peace board, and he wants and he has invited New Delhi to be a part of the board. So US President Donald Trump has formally invited PM Modi to join the newly created board of peace in Gaza. The other leaders he has invited includes Pakistan, Hungary, Jordan, Greece, Cyprus, Argentina and Turkey. Now, the White House has already named the executive board, the founding executive board, which includes Marco Rubio, US Secretary of State. You must have heard his name too much in news in these 10 days. Tony Blair, the former British Prime Minister, Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law and a very important functionary in government of America, and Ajay Banga, the World Bank president. Members typically will serve a 3-year term. Okay. The members will serve a 3-year term. But if you contribute $1 billion, then you can secure a permanent membership to the board of peace. Okay. So it's related to how much you can fund, and he has invited India to be a part of it. Okay. Now, what will be the powers and roles of the board? The board will supervise the National Committee for Administration of Gaza, a technocratic Palestinian body led by Dr. Ali Shah that will manage the day-to-day governance. So the board will support this National Committee who will work as a government in Gaza. Okay. So this board will help. It will be a helping council. The plan focuses on demilitarization, disarmament of Hamas, the military group in Gaza, and large-scale reconstruction of the Gaza Strip. So the board will focus on how this can be done, demilitarization can be done, how disarmament can be done for the Hamas forces, and how the Gaza Strip, the structure, the infrastructure can be created in the Gaza Strip, which is facing a humanitarian crisis. And Major General Jasper Jeffers is also leading an international stabilization force for training Palestinian police and securing the enclave. Okay, so in Gaza Strip, there will be an international stabilization force which is work as a security force of Gaza. And this National Committee for Administration will work as a government, technocratic government, bureaucratic government of Gaza. And this board for peace will provide one, funding, second, support, and third, planning for reconstruction, disarmament and demilitarization of the area. So this is a step in the direction of redevelopment of Gaza. Okay, we'll see how India responds to this invitation. Okay, with this we'll move on to our next news. This is an article in the Hindu today, and it discusses soft matter. Soft matter, the unusual yet persistent physics inside your bathroom closets. Soft matter is something which retains its shape like a toothpaste or a shampoo, but whenever there is a force, it changes, it sometimes flows. So it's not a liquid and also not a solid. Okay, soft material, often known as soft matter, refers to substances that can be easily squashed, stretched or bent. Unlike hard materials like steel and diamond, where atoms are locked, these are ionic bonds, and these are small atoms which are locked with ionic bond. So these metals are not, these molecules cannot move. There is no movement. That is why it's solid material. Okay, There is no physically seen movement. There will be vibrations, internal vibrations, but that cannot be seen with naked eyes. Okay. So these are not hard like steel or diamond. These are made of floppy building blocks like protein or peptide chain or a large organic material. So you can see that there are small atoms which are linked with ionic bond, very strong bonds. So there will be no movement. These material in itself are made of big constituent materials. Okay, that is why they are weak and temporarily malleable. And unlike ionic bonds, these materials, these building blocks are linked with a very weak force. Now, you might be thinking that similar to this, liquid materials are also linked with a weaker force. So why is it not a liquid? While liquid materials, we'll discuss this later on, but I'll tell you, liquid materials are not made of bigger molecules. They are made of smaller molecules like water, H2O. Okay. So the molecule in itself is a very small molecule. The forces are weak. So whenever the forces are cut, these molecules separate and flow. So unlike soft material, unlike liquid materials, the soft material does not flow and retains its shape. We'll discuss how. So unlike hard solids built from atoms, soft material are made of much larger building blocks. We still discuss. The forces holding these blocks are weak and easily disrupted. That makes its internal structure fragile and highly adaptable. How a soft material behaves depends on how much force is applied, one, the force component, and how quickly it is applied. Okay. So there will be a force component into there will be a time component. So force and time, both components decide how that particular soft material will work. For example, in substances like shampoo, long molecules form a tangled network that provides thickness. So there will be a tangled material, tangled network by the material. Whenever you shake the bottle, this material will flow over each other. For example, this is one molecule, this is second molecule, and these are the weak forces. This material will start flowing with over each other, and once the movement stops, they'll again recoil. So for example, there's a there and it moves ahead, so it will be like this. Now it will recoil into again into a thick tangled network and again retain the thickness. So whenever there will be a force, it will start moving over each other, and whenever the force will stop, it will retangle again. It will again get its thickness back. So whenever there is a force, and depending on how quickly the force is applied, the movement will depend, and once the movement stop, it will retangle. This is how soft material works. It is not like liquid where once you apply a force, the material is gone. There will be a new material in itself. Okay. Now what are the forces? These are the forces within intramolecular forces within the building blocks, which are covalent bonds and quite strong. Unlike liquid, they are quite strong. They cannot be separated from each other. They will move over each other and recoil once again when the movement or the force stops. Okay. And there will be intermolecular forces. Because of that intermolecular forces, the movement will be happening. Okay. The material in itself will not break. Unlike liquid, the material will not break. The movement in between material will break. So the intermolecular forces are weak. The intramolecular forces is not that weak until unless there is denaturation for that matter. Okay. Now, how are they different from liquid? In a simple liquid, the molecule is very small. Okay. Each molecule interacts with its neighboring through a few hydrogen bonds or van der Waals forces. You must have read this in class 10th and 9th, van der Waals forces and hydrogen bond. Because of polymeric chain of thousands of atoms, it has, unlike this is talking about soft material. So this is water. Let's suppose this is water and this is the covalent hydrogen bond between two water molecules. Now you apply force, the covalent bond will break and the molecules will be different apart. So these molecules are now flowing. There will be no bond between them. No, the bond is broken. So they will flow. Now let's suppose we talked about shampoo. Okay, or let's suppose there is a peptide bond, or let's suppose there is a big molecule. Now this is the big molecule. Okay, this is the second molecule. Okay, now the points of contact we discussed, there will be a covalent bond. There will be 4 covalent bonds. Let's suppose there are 4 covalent bonds. All will be broken, it will flow. But in this, there will be a bond here, there will be a bond here, there will be a bond here, here. Thousands and lakhs of bonds. For example, this breaks, this van der Waals force or hydrogen bond breaks. This breaks, this breaks. So there will be a flow. When I told you, when there will be a force, there will be a flow. So due to breakage of this, the movement will start. But since it is somewhere connected to the molecule, the flow will not be as flowy as a liquid, like we discussed in water, because the molecule is small. There is one bond, that bond is broken, the flow starts. There will be no rebonding or there will be no re-entanglement again. But here there will be multiple bonds. Some might be broken, which will initiate the movement, like in a toothpaste. But once that particular movement or the force is stopped, it will rebond again, unlike water. So the relaxation time, the memory time of simple liquids is almost 0. If you stir water, the molecules rearrange themselves into a new state in itself, but the soft material has a long relaxation time because of the big building blocks and entanglement. It takes a longer time for them to slide back to the relaxed states. So once you stop movement, the water will get into a new state. But once you stop movement here, there will be some relaxation point. They will keep on moving, and then come on a relaxation state. So this is the relaxation time, and this is the way they work. Because of multiple points of connection, their flow is not that flowy. They do not flow as fast or as easily as liquid. This is called Velcro effect. This is the Velcro effect. What is a Velcro? A magnet which is temporary. So movement will be temporary. It will break, it will come again. It will break, it will come again. It will break, it will come again. Okay. So this is how these work. Okay. This is a very nice article. You should, guys, give it a read. Budget and opportunity to find to crypto policy, say industry player. Okay. So India's top cryptocurrency players say that the few policy tweaks can be done in cryptocurrency. Why so? The industry leaders are urging government to use the upcoming budget as an opportunity to adjust the taxation policies for VDAs. They argue that the current regulations are driving the capital out of country because they are saying the crypto is the new capital form. Now, because there are so much taxes in our country on crypto, there is so much regulation on the on crypto. VDAs are also recognized under PMLA. Okay, so because of all these regulations, taxations, the capital is going out of the country, and they are saying that you have to rationalize these taxes. Now we'll have to discuss what rationalization they want. If you buy a crypto, on every crypto transaction there is a TDS, tax deducted at sources. Okay, now this tax is deducted at sources. Along with this, if you have a capital gain, there will be a 30% flat tax. Okay, let's suppose you sold your cryptos on a loss, or BTC fell for some reason. Okay, now your losses usually in IT returns, you can business losses or you can these speculative and this market losses, you are able to set off with the income of that year. But unlike other assets, investors cannot offset profits from crypto transaction against losses from another. Okay, so the profit, for example, you gain 30 rupees in crypto. Now you have a loss of 20 rupees in some transaction, some business transaction, some speculative transaction. You cannot say that tax me on 10 rupees, which is my real profit. You cannot say set off my gains from cryptocurrency with my losses that are there. The taxation will be on 30 rupees itself and flat 30%, that is 9 rupees. You cannot say you take 3% of tax because I have 20%, 20 rupees loss, set off my loss with the gain I gained in cryptocurrency. So this mechanism is not available for crypto, and this is one of the major reasons why people are driving their money out of crypto. Okay. Now, I said there will be a 1% TDS on all transactions. So what is that transaction? What are the exclusions of these transactions? One of the most important exclusion is transfer between two wallets. So if you own a wallet for some company like WazirX, and there is a private company called MetaMask, you have a BTC, Bitcoin. You transferred that Bitcoin from WazirX to MetaMask. Okay. This transfer is not transfer of ownership. This is from one wallet to another. So there will be no taxation. There will be no taxation for this change of ownership. But if you swap BTC with ETH, Ethereum, let's suppose you have one BTC, you want to buy 30 ETH. Out of that, one BTC. No money input, no money output. Let's suppose one BTC is equal to 30 Ethereum and you want to swap that one BTC is with 30 Ethereum. Okay. Within your wallet, then that is called crypto to crypto trade, and that is taxable. Again, 1% taxation will be there at the source itself. And if you are gaining, though we took an example where we are not gaining or losing anything, but if you gain anything, that gain will be taxed at 30%. So crypto to crypto transaction is taxed. Wallet to wallet movement is not taxed. Okay. So these are the main pointers of taxation of crypto you have to remember for your class or for your prelims preparation. Now, the last topic for today would be Nobel Peace Prize inseparable from the Laureate. Why this is in news? Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Machado gives her Nobel Prize to President Trump during a meeting in White House. This became a big news recently. Okay. Now, because of this, Nobel Prize committee came up with the tweeted the rules, regulations, movements, everything. Okay. Now, we will discuss the rules because that is important for our prelims thing. Okay. A Nobel Prize cannot be revoked, shared, transferred to others. It cannot be revoked, it cannot be shared, cannot be transferred. Once the announcement is made, the decision stands for all the times. You cannot share, you cannot revoke, you cannot transfer your Nobel Prize. And no appeal may be made against the decision of prize awarding body for the conferment of the award. If the body gave an award to someone, the award becomes final. There will be no transfer whatsoever. Okay. And the two most prominent cases where the prize was refused were the French writer Jean-Paul Sartre and the Vietnamese revolutionary leader Le Duc Tho, this Le Duc Tho was jointly given award with US Secretary Henry Kissinger. But he refused. He said, I cannot take an award with someone who was attacking my own country. They came up to a peace accord. Okay. But he said, I will not share award with US Secretary of State, and UN Nobel Committee was also criticized for this decision, that why are you giving award two parties, the two main leaders of two parties which were in war with each other. Why are you giving Nobel Peace Prize to Henry Kissinger and Lee Duc-tu in the same time? But again, once conferred, no challenge, no appeal. So the Vietnamese leader refused to take award. And second case is this French writer. He said, my work, I do not want to institutionalize my work. I want to keep it available to everyone. I want to keep it non-recognized, and that is why he refused the award. But the award remains. He will be, these three people will be considered the Nobel laureates for those years. Now, while the award cannot be transferred, medals can be given to one another. Okay, a medal can be passed on to other as a gesture, and any such transfer is seen as a loan or a gesture. Okay, so Miss Mercado can give her medal to President Trump, but President Trump will not be known as a Nobel laureate for 2025. That Miss Maria Mercado will remain. The medal can change owners, but the title of Nobel Peace Prize winner cannot. Two well-known cases for this is Dmitry Muratov's medal, which was auctioned for over 100 million to support refugees from war in Ukraine. Okay, and the second thing is the medal displayed in the Nobel Peace Center is actually the medal belonging to the first Peace Prize laureate, Norway's first Peace Prize laureate, Christian Lou Lang. Okay, these are the two cases where the medal was transferred or the medal changed hands. And the third case right now is Miss Maria Mercado, who gave her medal to President Trump. So these are the rules you have to remember regarding the transfer, revocation, giving conferment or presenting medal prizes to anyone else. With this, we'll finish today's daily news and analysis. We'll see you in the next class. Thank you.